You are listening to episode 2 of the Underlayer, where the real story lives. I'm your host, David Young, and in each episode, we explore what's beneath the surface, the ideas, experiences, and insights that shape how we find clarity, alignment, and energy in our lives. Today, my guest is Amanda Hofman. She's the CEO and co-founder of Go to Market, a woman-owned business looking to revolutionize the way the world handles swag. They don't do pens, keychains, or stress balls. They take a completely different approach to how personal brands, businesses and personal brands market themselves with merchandise. She lives in New York City with her 2 kids and a rescue dog. She loves to run, race, cycle, and apparently bike touring, which I did not know was a thing. So Amanda, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to chat with you today.
So yeah, I want to get right into it. So your company, excuse me, called Go to Market, and your thing is unique, eye-catching, more insightful, some depth to the merchandise. Is that correct?
I would say less unique and more authentic.
Okay.
So we really want to create items that feel deeply like the brand that we're working on, right? Like you want it to reflect your identity, your values, what makes people feel like they're a part of your brand, your club, your community, your coaching, your book, whatever it is, that should be reflected in your branded merchandise. And it's not reflected when you print your logo on a whole bunch of random stuff. It also isn't reflected when you are just like spraying and praying, like just like giving everybody something. We think a lot about how to make branded merchandise that actually reflects your company and what you're trying to do in your business.
No, I love that. So where does that come from? So you obviously work with the client or clients, depending on the setup. Is it insight from them and then from your team? Because I know it's yourself, and I think you have a designer, graphic designer, or you have
Yeah, my
people that
business
help you.
partner is an artist and a designer, and then we have three other people who work with us.
Okay.
We do a real deep dive on our clients before we first meet with them. And the reason we do that is that we don't want to design branded merchandise and swag that can be interchangeable with any other business. Like a life coach who talks about like feeling happy and finding joy. We don't want to make the live, laugh, love of branded merchandise, right? Like the merch is supposed to help you stand out in a crowded field and help people understand at a glance what makes you different from everyone else who's doing what you do. How are you different from the other coaches? How are you different from the other authors? How are you different from the other financial planners? How are you different from the other lawyers? Why should someone be interested in you? And that is the whole picture of branding in general. That is the work of branding, and branded merchandise and swag as a part of that. But so often branded merchandise and swag is just like, how much money do we have? How many people do we need to give it to? Divide. Okay, we have $5. What can we get for $5? It's a pen. Like that sucks. I think it's much better to do nothing than to do like something crappy, but it just like companies, corporations are still doing things the way that they've been done in like the 80s, the 90s, and the early 2000s, which like absolutely does not make sense in today's world.
Yeah, and I want to get into that because that's really fascinating to me, how we continue to, in a lot of things in life, but especially this, like we just keep doing the same thing. We were talking right before we started recording. So my first job out of college, first real job, was selling pharmaceuticals. I worked for Roche for about 5 years, and we had all the traditional pharma giveaways, right? We had a lot of pens. We had cubed, tear off, kind of square. They weren't Post-its because they didn't stick, but they looked like Post-its. We had more like a little bit bigger, like rectangle tear offs. We had, pedometers. I don't know, just standard stuff. And I worked a trade show at the convention center. I think it was in Columbus, Ohio, for pharmacists. And so I get there and we get all set up, and we have our booth and the table and whatever. And I swear it was like pharmacists had never seen a pen before. They were like vultures. I mean, they were taking, they had their bags that they were given when they walked in, but I swear they were taking like 50, 60 pens. I mean, they were like scooping them up. And I said to the guy that I was working with, I was like, we're going to run out of pens in like 10 minutes. Like this, what are they even doing?
It's just grown up trick-or-treating. Like it's not branding relationships, right? Like these are not leads. These are not people who are going to like look at your Post-it and be like, oh man, you know what? That David guy was really special. Like that the notepad is not doing that. So like I like to think of branded merchandise as something that builds the relationship between the people who receive it and the company
Yep.
giving it. Everything else is just free stuff. It's just trick or treating. You
Yep.
know, Halloween is obviously on my mind because it was just 2 weeks ago, but it's like kids go around and just be like, candy, 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 candy. Like, give me, give
Yeah.
me, give me. And like, we all have that human instinct of like want and
Yep.
like greed and like, give me. But what happens is when people get home, when that pharmacist gets home with 30 pens in their bag, they take those 30 pens as a fistful, they put it in their drawer with probably 100 other pens.
Right.
And like, it doesn't do anything for your relationship. Now, if you're an enormous company like Roche and you just have money to like literally spray anywhere, sure, go for it. You can make pens and notepads and all those things. But if you want to engage leads at a trade show,
Yeah.
like you gotta step it up. Like
Yeah.
like there's so much more opportunity, especially for smaller businesses, to again distinguish themselves, say something about themselves, like start a conversation, create a relationship with somebody through gift giving and branded merchandise and swag.
No, I love that. It's so true too, because you knew they were getting pens from like all the other companies, and then it all just blends together.
If you
And the
think of
kick
them as like a little kid in a doctor costume, like going around and getting candy, like it actually makes it a very sweet story.
that is a better reframe. The pens were super cheap and didn't write well either, which always bothered me because I need my pens to write well. Also, I need point sevens, and they were all 1.0, so they were a no go for me from the start. Um, so you talked about like going back to like the 80s, so we're 40 plus years ago, and it hasn't changed a lot. Like it's we're still kind of doing, a lot of people and companies are
It's
doing
shocking.
like the same marketing, right? Why?
I think it's just, I think people don't think about it in the same way that it's like, oh, well, you need to have business cards. It's the same thing. Like, we're all still, people are changing around that slowly, but like, we've had business cards long past the function of having
Hmm.
business cards, right? Why? It's just because we've always done it. It's what you need, right? Like, you need a professional photo for your LinkedIn, right? These are just truths that we accept. Like, you need to go to a trade show, you need to have a giveaway, you need to give away water bottles. Everyone needs a water bottle. Let's give that away. It's like, that's not what we're doing anymore. Like, the world today that we live in, anyone can get something that they want within 2 days or less,
Yeah.
right? You can just buy it yourself, very cheap. Things are affordable, easy to get, and you can get the shirt that you want. You can get the water bottle that you want. You can get the 1.0 pen, not the 0.7 pen, right? So, like, why would we want the things that don't meet our needs from a company? Like, why would we do that? So we have new technology now, right? Like, so
Yeah.
on one hand, people can get everything they want. And on the other hand, we now have print on demand. So I am really adamant about companies going print on demand for their branded merchandise. In most cases, there are some cases for bulk printing, and I can get into that if that's interesting. But for the most part, having a digital website with all of your branded merchandise where somebody can go on and say, I really relate to this message. I really relate to this style. I'm personally right now wearing an off the shoulder t-shirt. I can think of 15 people who would rather be caught dead than wearing this. And I can think of another 15 people who would want this right off of my back if I said,
Right.
hey, do you want this shirt? Right? It's polarizing. I love it. It doesn't mean you need to love it. But
Yeah.
like, the point is, I am going to reach for this first. I wear this all the time because I think it's great, right?
Yeah.
You want to give somebody like me the opportunity to pick the one that's going to make me really happy and want to wear it all the time. And somebody who hates it to have an opportunity to get like the unisex fit or like the oversized fit or like a thick t-shirt. There's no reason not to give somebody choices in what they want. And when somebody chooses the branded merchandise that speaks best to them, that fits them, that like flatters them, that like reflects their values and their identity, they're more likely to wear it. They're more likely to keep it in the long run. They're more likely to wear it and talk to people about it, which is
Yeah.
why you made it in the first place, right?
Yeah, and
So we have
I
to
know you
think
talk
about
about in your post, you share stories of like people wearing the merch and then like getting stopped in airports or grocery stores because it's sparking that conversation, right? And that
yeah.
I think is the kind of the point.
And it's saying something about you. Like, why do we wear the things that we wear in general? It's because it says something about me. I want people to think of me this certain way. So when I'm wearing my merch is fun or my swag boss or my like merch mentor shirt, like I'm sending a pretty big message with that about who I am, what I want to talk about, what kinds of values I have, like all in a glance. And like social media, that's what you got. You have a
Yeah.
glance. So like, what are you saying in that glance?
Yeah, I mean the attention span obviously is. I don't know if I think it's. I mean it is short, but I will pay attention. Like we'll watch an hour show on Netflix, so I mean we will pay attention if it's interesting enough. But I think it's the competition for the attention, right? There's so
Exactly.
much.
Yeah, I actually don't think it's attention span at all. It's that we're being fed a fire hose of images. And
Um,
so while we're watching, it's kind of like, I live in New York City and I take the subway all the time. And when you see things fly by your face, you have to like quickly catch what station you're at. And if there's an ad you liked, it's like you have literally like a fraction of a second to see it. And
yeah,
that's how it is on social media too. So like, what do you want to say in that time?
yeah, for sure. Um, do you have a from your and you're doing it for over 5 years now? Do you have like a one that really stands out, like a brand that you worked with, you came up with something really unique, and then you really saw the tangible like ROI on their investment with you to really
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
grow their business?
So, two of my favorite clients, I have a lot of favorite clients, but two of my favorite clients do the same thing. They're both anti diet nutritionists, and I'm obsessed with their businesses, their messages, and what we created for them. So, for one of the clients, we created this I'm not, are we cursing on this podcast?
You can say whatever you want.
Okay, so it says fuck diet culture with like a star over the U, and it's written in icing. And this is a woman who just talks about like how diets are ruining women and like how much more women could be if they weren't just like focused on dieting and like how
Hmm.
small they can make their bodies and loving your body at any size. And we made this beautiful, like meaningful line of merchandise for her that absolutely went off the charts in her
Hmm.
business and in her following. And like she wears it on like Thanksgiving. She'll post something that says like fuck diet culture. She's got like a huge like turkey, right? And it reinforces her message so beautifully. And like if you read the comments, people are like yes, it makes them feel so seen and like they
Hmm.
want to be a part of it. They want to touch it. They want to also broadcast it, right? There's
Yeah,
that another the other client that we work with, we made her an eat carbs line. So she's got like a t-shirt and a mug and a sweatshirt. It also just says like eat carbs, eat carbs, eat carbs. And I'm just like, it's just great. It's just like turning this idea of like carbs are bad, like in on its head and being like, no, you should eat these things, or
yeah,
making light of it, but also making a serious message that
yeah.
relates to what she's trying to do. And I'll offer one more example. We just launched a store for Joseph Cope, the empathy guy. He's also on LinkedIn. And you see like the village of people around him wearing his message that we designed for him. And it's this beautiful thing of people posting about him and saying like, this is what Joseph has meant to me in my life. And
Hmm.
this is how this sweatshirt like helps me feel connected to him and his message. And I'm like, yes, that's it.
Yeah.
Like that is the deepening of connection. That's the spreading of like your message. It's the feeling a part of this like community, this identity, this idea, and it's powerful.
No, I love that. And I saw Joseph's because I saw your post. I don't know, or maybe I saw his post, but I saw that you two had worked together. And then I clicked on, I think it was the website. So, and I know that you do, and you can talk about this more, but you guys do like you talked about the digital storefront. So you guys set that up, right? You work with the
Yes.
clients and set up. So that way, you can go and like you talked about, buy whatever you want. You're not just given like, here's some swag and we hope you like it. But I noticed on his, um, that looked more like it was an overall website. Like you talked about like him and like what he does. And then there also was like the merchandise. So is that something you guys did, or was that just like added on to what he had?
Everything on the page that says merch, we do. So we
Okay.
build the whole page that says merch into a client's website.
Okay.
Any messaging that's on there, all the photos, the naming of products, the pricing of products, that is something that we do from scratch for our clients.
Got it.
Um, And the reason that we do that is that it's not just a way to like sell your branded merchandise, but it's also a gifting platform. So it's a way to say, hey, thanks for having me as a speaker. Thanks for having me as a podcast guest.
Yeah.
Thanks for being my client for 5 years. It's like, so rather than saying like, hey, everyone gets a candle or a bottle of wine or whatever it is, you say, hey, here's 50, 100, $200 to my branded merchandise shop. I would love for you to pick out something that works for you. And then
Yeah.
they can go on and say like, I absolutely don't want another t-shirt, but I love that mug. Or other
Yeah.
way around. I absolutely don't need another mug, but I love that t-shirt, right? And
Yeah.
so then there's control over what they get. And if they get something, that's something that we don't like to talk about as business owners, right? Like some people just like don't want it for reasons of their own, the same reason that they might not want your newsletter. It has to do with them. They're like, managing their inbox, or they're managing their clutter, or they're downsizing or something. Like you might be
Mhm.
catching them at a time in their life where giving them a physical gift is a burden and not a
Yeah.
gift. And this sort of respects that as well and lets people opt out. I like to call it like consensual gift giving.
That's a great way to say it. Well, really, it's a double win because not only do they not have to get something if they don't want it, but then you're not, if they don't order anything, then there's nothing that's made, right? So the waste is cut way down. So
Nothing that's
it's,
made, nothing that's paid for. It's a
yeah,
perfectly efficient system in that way.
yeah. No, that's amazing.
Mhm.
What are some of the more popular, like, is it t-shirts, is it mugs, water bottles, or is there less mainstream things that people gravitate towards?
Yeah, so I love this question because so many people are like, what's like a really unique thing that I can do? And I advise all of my clients to actually stay away from the really unique things.
Mm.
And the staples and the basics are called staples and basics for a reason. People really like them. People like t-shirts, they like sweatshirts, they like mugs, they like tote bags, they like hats. The thing that makes it special is the design that's going on it. It's not so much that like it's got like a hole in a weird place, or like it's a tech charger that's also a flashlight. It's like this multi-purpose, it's a bean bag that turns into an iPad holder. It's like, no. If somebody wants that, they'll go out and buy it, unless it's
Yeah.
very specific to your business. Like, unless you are, let's say you're a dentist and like you want some branded merchandise that's like an electric toothbrush that like has a mirror on it because you're all about, who knows, I'm making something up. Then
Yeah.
if it relates to your business and it makes sense, go for it. Otherwise, I would not bend your brain trying to find like the most unique thing that you can find. Because
Yeah.
the truth is, the people who want that thing, if they take it from you or buy it from you, they're going to use it and like it. But a lot of people are not going to want it or choose
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. That makes sense. I wouldn't have thought of it that way, but that does make sense. What, how do you guys, because you work with clients, it's a fairly long-term relationship, right? Like it's not like you just
Yes,
come in, set it up and you're gone. Like
that's right.
you stay with people. How to talk about like how that works.
Yeah, so I like to describe us as like a fractional merch and design team.
Mhm.
And what we do to avoid being a shiny object, because so many brands, companies, businesses, they're like, okay, we're gonna like really get into SEO now. And then they like take a course on it and then like literally never do it again. So we want to make branded merchandise for you, but then stay on to be like, hey, are you using this? How are you using this? Like, have you thought about doing this as a giveaway? Have you thought about doing this for this like workshop that you have coming up? Have you thought about doing this to increase your Instagram following? Like, there's so many. Branded merchandise as a sales and marketing tool with a lot of energy that you can direct towards the things that you need energy on in your business. So if you want people to register for a course or sign up to or listen to your podcast or refer friends to your podcast,
Mhm.
there are ways that you can use the branded merchandise to do it. And we want to teach you about that and be on hand to be like, hey, how, are you being strategic with your branded merchandise? Why or why not? How can we help?
No, I like that. I like that a lot. Do you find you work more with like solos, like individual people, or small businesses that have, 10 employees, or is it kind of a mix?
It's definitely a mix. In the beginning, it was more solopreneurs. It's still a lot of solopreneurs. People who are in really crowded fields like coaches, authors, financial planners, accountants, who are just trying to stand out in like a sea of people who are all using the same marketing language and all posting the same kind of content. It's like, how can you stand out and how can you also like reward the people who love what you're doing already and turn them into brand ambassadors for you. So that's one side of it. The other is like we work with bigger teams that like have are like all remote and want to gift, do gift giving, or people who just like want to simplify holiday gifting. Like people underestimate how much time and energy and money merch costs when you're like, oh crap, it's November. Holiday gifting is coming up. Like, oh, what are we going to do this year? Should we do wine? Should we do cookies? What are we going to do? Let's print something. I want something unique. Let's do a USB charger, not a USB charger, like a ring light that like goes on your computer. And it's like, okay, like
It's exhausting even thinking about it.
it is exhausting thinking about it. Like, I don't like the idea of these companies printing their name on ring lights makes me tired. Like, don't do that. Don't do it.
I'm looking at my ring light. I have 3, but I'm looking at this one and I'm now picturing like words inside. That's amazing.
Again, if it's appropriate to your business, if you're teaching people to be on camera and you want to have a branded ring light, like that might make sense for you. But for most people, it doesn't. Yeah. And like I know I was at a conference once and somebody was handing out a branded ring light and I happily took it. But like I could not for the life of me tell you the name of the company that's on there. I took it because I was like, oh, that'll be useful. And like it was, but like it did not deepen. Again, my litmus test is it deepening the relationship between me and the brand who gave it to me? No, they gave me a free thing. I was trick-or-treating.
Yeah. It's funny you had that post, I think it was this week or late last week with the King's Hawaiian. And I thought that was really funny because like everyone knows the King's Hawaiian rolls, right? Like, I mean, I ate those as a kid. Like my dad was like the biggest King's Hawaiian guy like in the world. So I saw the post and then 2 days later I was in Kroger. And when you walk in, they typically have a display before you walk into the store, but it's always sweets. It's always cookies and donuts and muffins. And it was all King's Hawaiian. I was like, what are the odds? Now I know it's because they're prepping for Thanksgiving, but it's not like sweets go out of favor, around the holidays. But this whole table, which is always sweets, was nothing but the standard, like the old school, like the 12, packed together King's Hawaiian rolls. I thought that was funny.
It's like, remember we exist. Remember.
Yes,
remember us.
It's coming up. And make sure your kids eat them because once they have one, they'll be like, oh my God, this is like crack bread.
It is crack bread. And your comment was so funny. You said, why do they need to advertise? And I was like, that is actually fair. It's like, if you've ever had one, they don't need to advertise. Just keep buying it. It's so good. It speaks for itself.
It does. Like you're not like walking down and then you see somebody like with a King's Hawaiian sweatshirt on. You're like, oh yeah, the crack bread rolls. I forgot about those.
But I think that goes back to identity, right? Like if I'm wearing a King's Hawaiian sweatshirt, you know that I like love nostalgia. I'm like a little laughing at myself. Like I'm a little bit, like I'm a kind of quirky and I want to talk about food.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's definitely more to it. And obviously the biggest brands in the world, Apple, Pepsi and Coke, like their advertising budget is like through the roof. Yeah. And it's not like nobody knows that they exist, but they still, they want to make sure. And so they still spend.
Well, and also to the point of King's Hawaiian, I feel like there are a million knockoffs. Yeah. Right. So like, I might want the crack bread, but like, what's to stop me from getting the Kroger one that is like literally the same? It's like I have to have a relationship with the orange packaging.
Yeah, that's true. It was $5. I have not bought King's Hawaiian rolls like maybe in my life. I mean, I've had them a bunch, but always like my mom or my grandma had them or whatever. But I thought it was interesting, like $5 for 12 rolls. I was like, wow, that seems like a lot.
I live in New York City, so
you were like, it's free.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't get it. Like our grocery bill is
like 15.
Unconscionable.
Yeah. Well,
I also have two, a teen and a preteen, and they've like, I've had to recently like double what I'm buying, like literally double what I'm buying.
But isn't it all snacks? My kids are similar age. They don't really like to eat meals. In fact, I don't think they would eat meals if we didn't make them. They would rather they would rather have 50 snacks, bars, and just like consumable stuff they can eat with their hands and like that type of stuff. They would just live and sustain like on that.
That's
like
true.
They don't really like to have like a traditional meal.
I completely agree. And actually my daughter has made me stop giving her real lunch. Now all she wants is like the hummus and crackers, like prepackaged
Mhm.
Sabra thing. And I'm like, you're getting through the day on that? Like, what's happening? But we do make them have dinner, like actual dinner. And then, like, literally 20 minutes after dinner, my son will be like, I'm kind of still hungry. And I'm
Yeah.
like, the food's still out. Like, just go get more. Cause again, he would take a bar or something. I'm like,
Yeah.
there is nutritious food that is still out. Like, you need to eat that first.
Yeah, they don't get full at all. There's like no amount. It's just completely bottomless.
Mhm.
They also go my youngest more than my oldest, but they can go an inordinate amount of time without consuming any food. Like, and I don't know how that's I mean, it'll be like 8 hours, and we'll be like, because he'll go to like somebody's house or they'll be playing, and he'll come back and be like, "What did you eat?" And he'd be like, "What do you mean?" It's like, "Well,
Yeah.
you've literally haven't been here since noon. It's 8 o'clock. Like, you didn't eat anything?" He's like, "No." Like, how's that possible? Like, weren't you hungry? He's like, "No, I didn't think about it." What?
I,
I don't know how
yeah.
that's. I don't understand. Maybe I did that as a kid. I don't remember. But like, I eat like every like 90 minutes. Like, I'm like, oh, well, I gotta have something like a banana or almonds or like something. I have to have something. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be a lot, but like it's hard for me to go like really long stretches without just something. And they're like, yeah, I didn't have anything for like 3 days. It's cool. It's fine. I'm a little hungry now though.
Kids are weird. So we'll
Are
say.
you are, you, are your kids all into the 6-7 thing? Is that taking over your household too?
My God.
Yeah.
Yes, it's everywhere. It's
Yeah.
literally everywhere. In fact, I was at a bat mitzvah, and during the service, the rabbi was like, turn to page 67, and the room like exploded. Exploded. I'm like, kids, time and place, dude. Like,
It's amazing. Like
they
I don't
can't
know how
pull together. They can't do
it's
it.
I know. It's like but I don't understand it because it's just like it's just two numbers next to each other. I don't
At the
like
same time, I'm like, if the New York Times is writing about it, surely it's ending soon, right? They can't keep going on something that grown-ups know about now.
I got in my wife's car this past weekend and the mileage was 67,767
No.
and so I was in it by myself or it would have been and so I drove, I ran a few errands and when I got back I told her and she was like, "You took a picture, right?" It's like, "No, I was driving." Like, "No, I didn't take a picture of your odometer. That's not safe." She was like, "Well, when you got there," I was like, "Well, I drove more than a mile. Like, I would have had to take it like as I saw it. I didn't see it at first." She's like, "I can't believe you should have pulled over. Why didn't you pull over? Like, that was amazing. You should have done it." I was like, I don't know. Okay, I don't know.
It's a weird world we live in now.
Amazing. Um, so what? So like, what's next? Is this like you've obviously been doing this for a while?
Mhm.
Do you grow it? Do you scale it? Do you just keep doing it? Like, what's like the future thought?
That is a great question and something I'm thinking about a lot. My business partner and I love this business and we love it like for our lives, right? We're both moms of kids very similar age and it's interesting, our kids are now older. This is my first year where I don't need to do drop off and pick up. So
Mhm.
I and for her too, like we just have more time and so we are scaling the business as we get more time, but we're definitely not interested in trading our lives to grow the business, right?
Yeah,
Like we don't want to sacrifice ourselves to have in the name of like pride to have like a
yeah,
business that like looks super big. Do I want to grow the business? Absolutely. I'm so passionate about what we're doing and we're so dedicated. I think that one of the things that I'm thinking about a lot and like I don't want to say struggling with, but really putting a lot of intention into is thinking like, how much work do I want to do versus how much management do I want to do? Because I feel like
mhm,
that's really the question of scaling. Like, I could hire someone to do like all the things that I'm doing, right? And do more oversight, but like, would I be happy doing that?
yeah,
I don't know. So I think I'm going to answer that question really slowly and sort of like we just hired a new person and as we hire more people, we obviously need to make more money and, just feeling it out sort of organically to see and checking in for myself and for my business partner, like, are we still happy with the
yeah,
business like this? Should we scale back, scale forward, get bigger, get smaller sort of situation?
yeah. It's that's refreshing to hear because I think a lot of people especially once you have some success. Like you're just always thinking about like more, bigger, more money, more people,
Yeah.
more everything, which is not necessarily bad. But
It's also it's time of life, right? Like this is my second business. I had another company that I ran for 5 years before I had kids, and that was definitely like a uh 0 to 60, run at full speed, constantly, never stop, never take a break, just like go all out all the time. And I feel like um, when you don't have kids and don't want work life balance, which I did not want at the time,
mhm,
um, that was great. That suited me really well. And then I feel like now that I have kids and they're a bit older, I'm just like my career is not my career is very important to me and this business is very important to me, but it is not all of me in the way that it
mhm,
used to be. It used
yeah,
to be like, what's your name? What do you do? Right. And now
yeah,
I'm like, what I do is a piece of who I am. It is not like the way I think of myself in terms of like being successful, being happy, being like a winner is not all to do with is my business growing
yeah,
and working. And I think that is just maturity. Like, I don't
yeah.
think that I could have had that when I was running my business in my late 20s, if that makes
No,
sense.
it's definitely it's maturity, it's life experience, it's becoming a parent. There's a lot of factors in that, and you just start to realize that there's more to grinding and working all the time. And at some point, you have enough money to meet like basic needs, and then after that, they've done studies, right? Like once you get past a certain level, your happiness actually flatlines. Like it doesn't.
Mhm, mhm.
Like if you have 100,000, you have a million. There's actually not the difference between like 30,000, 100,000 is exponential. The difference between 100,000 and a million is like very minimal in terms of like how you feel. Like it just
Right, right.
you just have more, but it's it doesn't do anything. It doesn't make you feel any better.
I also think that like I used to be a lot more caught up in like what my peers were doing. Like,
Hmm.
what did everyone in my high school and my college do? Like when I graduated college, I was one of my friends. I was one of the only people of anyone I knew really who didn't go on to get a master's. And I felt really insecure about that.
Hmm.
But like at the same, I kept wanting to do it, but I'm like, I don't know what I would do it for. Like, and I
Yeah.
looked into everything. And I really related to your post today about like you saw all the career counselors and like read all the books. That was me for sure. I like hired all the people, I took all the tests, I read all the books. I'm like, I don't really know. I haven't found a role model of like that person is doing what I want to do. And so I'm like, I can't commit like years and money to get a degree in something when I'm just not sure. And that was like really like emotionally and
Yeah.
pridefully painful for a long time. And now I'm like, I don't care. Like I genuinely, I'm
Yeah.
like that. I have friends who are stay-at-home moms. I have friends who are like wildly successful, like working in finance, working in law. Like, I'm going to use successful in air quotes, like
Yeah. Yeah.
now because I don't. Let's say career successful, and like that's just not how I measure myself anymore. And it's made me so much happier. I think that's the gift of being in your 40s, honestly. It's like
Yeah.
you're released from that, like, oh my God, what are all of my peers doing? And I have to be in lockstep with them. And I'm the only one who doesn't have a master's. And like, what does that mean? And
Yeah. No, I definitely age for sure because you start to realize that it doesn't really matter. The other thing you realize is that people aren't paying nearly as much attention as you like think they are
Mhm.
because they're so wrapped up in their everything that they're doing and what they have going on. Like they're not just sitting around thinking like, "Has Amanda gotten that master's yet? Why is she such a slacker?" Um, like they just aren't. We think they are. We'd like to think that they are, but like they're not. Um, but yeah, that yeah, my journey. I spent a lot of time. I spent a lot of time doing nothing. I felt like I was doing something with all the books and the coaches. Like it felt like progress because it like satisfied the. Well, I'm doing something. I'm reading this book. I'm seeing this coach. I'm taking
Right,
this
right.
course. I did go back to school and get my master's, and honestly, that was I did that out of boredom. Like I had a job that I was really good at, but it was too easy for me,
Mm,
and the company would pay like 70% of if I went back. And I had a friend who had gone through the program, and he was like why not just do it? And that's literally why I did it. I was like, all right, it'll give me something to do. It'll get me out of the house 2 nights a week. Um, it'll engage my brain,
mhm.
like whatever.
Well,
And
like
that was
we
it.
need, as humans, I really feel like we need that challenge, and boredom can be like so insidious. And that's how I felt in all my corporate jobs before. It's why I was
Mhm.
so miserable. I was just bored. And I was like, where is this challenge? Like I was so challenged in school. I was so challenged in college. And there was like, it was just rich with opportunity to like learn more everywhere. Like even if it wasn't academic, like I could learn a hobby, I could learn a sport, I could learn there, just everyone was learning all the time. And then when I got into my first job, they were like, I guess we could trust you with filing. Like, can you alphabetize? I'm like, what? It was such a slap in the face. I couldn't deal with it. So like in entrepreneurship, I feel like everything's a challenge all the time. Like in
Yeah.
the ways that I like enjoy and don't enjoy. Like I
Yeah.
find uncomfortable, but like it's the uncomfortable that I've chosen, right? Um,
For sure.
and so yeah, that's where I'm
Well,
from.
and I think on the entrepreneurship side of things, what I learned was that it's impossible to be good at everything. So
Oh
like
yeah.
there's sales and there's marketing and there's finance and there's offers and there's actually doing the work, and there's a lot of different hats and areas where you kind of you're forced to do it, and you just, no matter how good you are, like there's just going to be parts of that that you're just like, I either don't like doing it, or I'm not good at it, or both. And that's
Mhm.
what you really have to identify, and then just you have to get rid of it. You have to hire it out, or like, because you'll just end up,
Yeah,
you'll
torturing
drain,
yourself, forcing
well,
yourself.
you'll drain all of your good energy battling the bad, and then you won't have left for what you actually like want to do and are good at, and then it just ends up diluting like the whole thing. And I really struggle with that. So I tell anyone that's, and sometimes it's financially you're limited because you're like, I can't afford it. I would almost argue the opposite. Like, you can't afford not to, because you're investing in the future of the business. If it's just something that you're just like, I hate X, don't do it.
One thing that is such a gift about this business I'm running right now is that I have a business partner. So when I was in my first company, it was like that. And I can't even describe how much I hate doing the business's finances and
Yeah.
taxes. It was the kind of thing that I would need to like emotionally gear up to for like a month. And it's the kind of thing that like did not actually take that much time, but like emotionally took me, like
Yeah.
wiped me out, right?
Yeah.
Like just getting myself to do it. And now that I have a business, and there are a million things like that, of course. And now I have a business partner who is like completely opposite from me in skills and preferences. And so the stuff I do, like for example, doing this podcast, she would rather like clean a toilet. She would rather clean all the toilets, every toilet, everywhere. She would 100% prefer to do that. I love
That's
being
a
here. I love
that's
talking.
a that's
And
amazing.
vice versa, like there's a million things she does that I'm like, I please, I can't do it. She's like, yeah, I'm happy to do the finances. I'm like,
Thank you.
don't want
Thank
to.
you so much. No, yeah, I totally feel that. I hate cleaning toilets. I'm trying to think now what I would rather do, or what I would clean toilets over.
I'm sure
Do.
if you really thought about it, like some of these things in your business that you're like, I really don't want to do those.
Yeah. I know that it's there. Toilets are bad though. Um, but anyway, this has been great. Thanks for coming on,
Yeah.
and sharing this. So, to kind of close it down, what if someone is thinking about merchandise branding, adding this to their, marketing, like what would be kind of one or two things you would really want them to like be aware of?
Yeah. So don't print stuff just because you think you should. You don't need to give something to everyone.
Mm,
You should be choosy about who gets things and make those things meaningful, right? That means don't just drop your logo on things. Like think about your branded merchandise as you would any other asset in your business. Like you wouldn't post on social with like just your logo. So like
mm,
think about that. And the other thing is I would say if at all possible, let people choose what they want and if they want things.
nice. No, I
And
like
I'm
that a lot.
happy to offer personal advice to anyone who's listening. You know that I'm always on LinkedIn, so you can always find me there.
Yes, absolutely. Um, and then how do people find you? I'll link it in the show notes, but if you want to
Yeah,
plug
so
website, or
for
what's the
sure.
easiest way to get in touch?
Our website is go-to-market.studio. Our Instagram is go-to-market-studio, and you can find me on LinkedIn as Amanda Hofman, but just it's one F in Hoffman. It's Amanda Hoffman, one F, one F.
One
Uh,
F.
that's how you find me. And yeah, I'm always happy to connect.
Awesome. Well, thanks for the time and insight. Really enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, me
Appreciate you
too.
coming on. Thanks.
Sure.